You are at the radio listening party, and so are the spirits right in this room this afternoon. Nancy Lynn from Melbourne's Triple R took a trip down memory lane. Now, normally, memory lanes are full of excitement and fun. Those sunny events, you know, a new child, a big family holiday, getting married, or getting engaged to someone who you can't marry quite yet. Those things that you want to remember. But the supernatural, talking to the dead, is that something that you would want to capture for all time on radio? Nancy thought it was, and what a memory it was too. Now, if you have had a supernatural experience, a ghost in your life or a spirit, we'd love to know. Share all the gory details on Facebook, facebook.com/community broadcasting. But what did Nancy actually experience? Well, let's have a bit of a listen.
S-I-K. It was silly. It did not really happen. We were being fooled.
When I was 16, my dead cousin spoke to me after my friends and I tried summoning her into the human world. We were just kids and just joking around, but something kind of up happened that day.
She's taken the Ouija board and thrown it into a fire of culture, belief, memory and reality. She's the maker of one of this year's entries in the National Features and Documentary Series called Hello, Yes, No, Goodbye. Welcome to the party, Nancy Lynn. It is great to have you. In fact, you know what, Nancy? Come and take a seat, because that way it feels like you're actually on radio as opposed to just being randomly on a stage. Nancy, what has got you thinking about the experience that you did as the basis of your feature?
Well, I was just, you mean like why I decided to make it into a radio story? Yeah. I guess just because it's such a strange story, but also it's a true story. And it happened to me when I was 16. When I was a teenager, we made this homemade Ouija board and tried, summoning the dead. And every time I tried to tell other people this story over the years, I'd have to work really hard to convince them that it was the truth and that, it really happened. And like when you have to put that much thought and effort into how you tell a story, I don't know, I guess when I was applying for this program, I was just like, what can I use? I'll just tell this strange story, but also because it was like a true story and people didn't believe me, so that made me start thinking about like belief and multiple perspectives and why we kind of privilege certain ideas about the supernatural over others. Because like when I would tell my friends, I would be like, whatever. But when I told my parents that I'd done this Ouija board with my friends, they were just like, no, that's it's bad luck, you never contact the dead. And I just thought that it would be interesting to try and compare those perspectives and
You're talking about your friends and your family. In the piece, you do reference your family a lot throughout it. What did you learn about your family from the experience, both itself and doing the actual feature?
Okay. I tried to... Initially, I thought that I would just interview my parents just to get their other kind of Chinese perspective on ghosts and spirituality. But as I was interviewing them, they also kind of revealed to me other... I feel like you have to listen to it to kind of get what I'm saying. But basically, so when I did this thing, Ouija board, when I was a teenager, I basically spoke to my dead cousin and... sorry, I forgot what you...
About your family. What did you want family?
What did I learn about my family? As I was interviewing my parents, I thought that I was just going to get kind of their perspective. but instead they kind of revealed to me that this like deceased cousin that I spoke with when I was a teenager, they told me that like the witch in my family's village actually told them, and they'd kept this from me, that this ghost used to like watch over me in my sleep and like wanted to like touch me and all that kind of stuff. It was just really eerie, and like I recorded that on tape for the first time, and you can hear my reaction as I'm interviewing them, where they're telling me this thing, and I'm like, what, you know?
Who would have thought that just a simple feature, just a simple 27-minute feature, would turn into such drama in the family?
Yeah, exactly.
You know, you wouldn't expect that. It's not one thing you'd be expecting. Have you spoken with them about the event since making the feature? Have they heard it?
Yeah, they have. My mum wasn't happy that I used my cousin's daughter to lend her voice as like the little girl, as the ghost. She was like, I don't like that, like that's bad luck in itself. Oops.
Oopsies.
Oopsies. Yeah, they liked it, but they thought it was like funny.
Oh, awesome. Well, ghosts can be, maybe not with your family, but ghosts in general can be quite funny. Now, what did draw me in was the way that you did put the sound together.
Yeah.
It is amazing. There's, overlaying speech, echoes. How did you go about the actual process of coming up with the way you put that audio all together?
I had no idea where to start at the beginning, but I tried to sort of think more, I guess, conceptually, like think more about like what I was trying to convey. And so part of the process was like I would do things like write down buzzwords and concepts that I wanted to anchor the whole piece to, rather than trying to I was already like trying to depart from kind of a linear storytelling form, because the whole piece is about multiple perspectives, and so I was like, and that gave me kind of leeway to sort of be more fragmented and creative and like compare contradictions, and it was okay if I sounded unsure or things like that. But sorry, in terms of the process, like when I was like writing down like the script or like planning it, I would do things like, if I was trying to communicate like me remembering something, or like trying to communicate, like convey like voices from another world, I'd be like, maybe I could insert echo here, or like add quirky clip here, things like that.
Did the training that you had with the CMTO help with some of that?
Yeah, so much. I was initially like nervous at first because I'd only done really basic radio making, but like the training weekend that we did up in Sydney with the CMTO was just so good. It was also like really good to come together with the other producers. Everybody's in the same boat, everyone's unsure, but they just instilled heaps of confidence in us and was like, you got this. We're here if you need to call us. And it was just so helpful having like the fortnightly kind of webinars. And they kind of really made sure that we would, not only that we were doing it, but also to make sure that we felt confident doing it. Yeah, so good.
Yeah, well, it's nice when you actually have a bit of support.
Definitely.
You can do it well. Now, finally, what has been the reaction to the piece from people that you know, people you don't know? Mm-hmm. What sort of reaction have you got from the community in general after creating your feature?
I knew all my friends would just be like, it's so great. So I wanted to get, because like they're being nice, but also I wanted to, I really wanted to try and convey multiple perspectives. That was the main thing. It was trying to like decentralise people's views about the supernatural and trying to say that competing and incompatible perspectives about things are valid. And yeah, and so when people would say like, oh, that was really interesting that I got this other viewpoint, that was the best thing, because that's what I was trying to do. Oh, they actually said it was really scary. That's the biggest reaction I got, yeah.
I must say, I was driving home in the dark listening to it.
Yeah.
I did have to stop a couple of times.
Oh, did you?
Just to make sure I wasn't actually being followed by any spirits.
Oh, okay.
And I did have some trouble going to bed that night as well. So thank you for that. Thank you.
No worries.
Anyway, it's great. Nancy's feature, Hello Yes, No, Goodbye is one of this year's National Features and Documentary Series features. Nancy, thank you very much for being part of the party.
Thanks for having me.
It's Nancy Lynn from Triple R.